Tonight, just before 6 p.m., officers here in the Clinton Ave area heard gunshots fired. They started to come towards the Clinton Ave area, seeking out the direction of those gunshots, at which point our shot spotter system activated as well and steered them to this location here on Clinton Avenue. Upon arrival, they found evidence of some sort of shootout that had occurred between two areas here on Clinton Avenue, between the Valero and down towards Clinton Avenue, or Clifford Street, I apologize, here on Clinton. While during that investigation, a private vehicle pulled up at Rochester General Hospital containing a 3-year-old boy who had been shot at least once in the upper body. That child was transferred to Strong Memorial Hospital, where he's currently in surgery in critical condition. So at this point, our prayers are out for that child, for his safe recovery from this incident tonight. So as part of that response down here, several people took off running from our officers. Officers engaged those people in foot chases, which led to a house over on Sullivan Street. Male, as he entered that house on Sullivan Street, discarded a handgun that officers were recovered. As part of that investigation on Sullivan Street, multiple people have been detained, and we've recovered at least 2 firearms at this point, as well as evidence of more than 25 shots being fired out here on Clinton Avenue. So at this point, we're currently investigating. We're looking at cameras, we're looking at witnesses, all of our follow-up steps that our investigators are going through and our technicians are going through out here to work towards solving this absurd crime that occurred out here, broad daylight on Clinton Avenue. So I'm going to hand it over to the chief now. He'll talk a little bit more about what's going on.
So first, let me start by saying, obviously, my thoughts and prayers are with the family of this 3-year-old. As a father of 5 myself, I cannot begin to imagine what they're experiencing right now at the hospital while their child is in surgery. So, over the summer, the Rochester Police Department has expended more overtime than ever before in history, filling patrol to keep patrol fully staffed due to our manpower shortage. This area in particular, we had the Community Affairs Bureau removed from their duties and placed on patrol in this particular area. This area has been addressed by numerous details over the summer. The mayor and I have personally walked this block many times ourselves. Over the course of this year so far, the Rochester Police Department men and women have recovered over 602 guns from the streets of Rochester. Our Rescue Our City initiative started 6 weeks ago. Has arrested and remanded 28 individuals federally on weapons charges so far. The men and women of the Rochester Police Department are working as hard as they possibly can and will continue to do so. So why, with all of this overtime spent and all of these projects and all of these arrests and all these guns off the street, are we here now for a 3-year-old baby that was shot in its car seat? Now, let me give you some other numbers, and I don't want to be inaccurate, so I'm going to go to my notes here. For approximately the last 30 days, we made 35 firearm-related offenses, arrests, that were sent to city court because they weren't eligible for federal prosecution. 23 of these people were released without bail. Let me say again, these people were arrested with a firearm. 23 were released without bail. 12 were released after posting bail. Out of these 35, 8 of them were shooting suspects that had already used the weapon in a crime. 20 were arrested for possession of the weapons. 7 were menacing suspects, meaning they had threatened someone with the firearm but not actually fired. Some of the top ones that come to mind: 1 offender is currently free after 3 criminal possession of a weapon arrests since May, including a double shooting. 1 offender is free after her 2nd criminal possession of a weapon arrest. This offender was on bail for the first one when arrested for the second one. In the most recent one, the offender was in possession of a ghost gun and an improvised explosive device. This individual is free right now as we speak. The time has come for the quiet majority to start speaking up and demanding that someone do something about these laws that have hamstrung our judges and taken discretion away from the judges. Yes, these people are all criminally charged. They're going to go to court maybe a year from now. If you're living this lifestyle out here right now, whether it's the drug lifestyle, whether it's the gang lifestyle, you're living day to day. You're not worried about going to court a year from now because you got arrested with a gun. The only way to get them from the lifestyle is to get them off the streets. Now, starting tomorrow, and to break the bad news to the guys and gals that work for me, we're going to 12-hour days after an exhausting summer of mandatory overtime. And all the help we've gotten from the state police and the marshals and the county sheriff, I still find myself in the position tonight that now I have to mandate 12-hour days so I can double staff this stretch of Clinton Avenue. But again, I'm not going to arrest my way out of the situation if it's a revolving door. Mayor?
What we witnessed here tonight and why we're standing here tonight are individuals that have held this community hostage. When I say this community, I'm talking about this stretch of North Clinton Avenue. This zip code, 14605, 14621. 14605 and 14621 have seen more shootings this year than any other place in the city. And the neighbors are tired of it. I was just here yesterday. We were here yesterday afternoon walking this neighborhood, and folks are sick of it. My thoughts and prayers are with the family of this 3-year-old child that was shot because individuals decided, even with officers in the neighborhood on patrol, to take out guns, and I can guarantee you they are illegal guns probably, because that's been the theme here this year, the use of illegal guns, to do whatever it is they wanted to do to each other for probably some asinine reason. And in the crossfire is a 3-year-old child. We said enough is enough. We are tired of saying enough is enough. I'm tired of saying thoughts and prayers, although we need as many thoughts and prayers that we can have as anyone can give, because we're dealing with this child that is in surgery right now, and we hope that they pull through. But the chief has made it clear. We are dealing with individuals who have absolutely no regard for life. Not for their own life, and not for the life of these people that live in this community that are sick of it. The vast majority of people in this neighborhood are good, hard-working people. But we have a small majority of individuals in Rochester that continue to carry illegal guns, and they're carrying them because they know that there are no consequences. There are no consequences for them to carry those guns. We need to send a message that if you carry an illegal gun, that's it. That you're just not going to be able to go walk and be comfortable. We need to make it very uncomfortable for people in this community to carry illegal guns, and more importantly, to use them. We have seen too many shooting victims in this neighborhood. The community's sick of it, and as mayor, I'm tired of it. We're not going to give up. We're not going to stop. And the individuals that are responsible for this tonight, they're going to be held to justice, because I want to thank the Rochester Police Department for moving quickly to get to grab possible, I want to be careful because I know this is an ongoing investigation, but possible suspects that are responsible for this. The community's sick of it, and I'm sick of it. The chief's tired of it, but we're not going to stop. The last thing I'll say is, I want to thank the community members who continue to speak up in this neighborhood. We come to this neighborhood all the time, not when the cameras are here, and talk to people in the neighborhood. We were here yesterday, we were here a couple of weeks ago, that continue to say that they want to see this neighborhood transformed, and they know that the only way to be transformed is by citizens, the police, and all of us working together to be able to do that. We're going to continue to do that. But in the meantime, we are going to continue to make it very uncomfortable. We need to make it very uncomfortable for those that carry illegal guns. And part of that is the community and their support, stepping up, calling in, and reporting people who are carrying these illegal guns, because we're tired of it wreaking havoc and bringing carnage in the streets. And with that, obviously, I will say this is an ongoing investigation, so probably we cannot answer specific questions, but the chief and Lieutenant Bello probably can answer more of the technical questions.
Yeah, I would just like to add, I was remiss in not addressing our homicide numbers, and I hope to God this does not add to them tonight. However, 62 homicides this year, as everyone knows, is the headline every day. But our major crimes unit continues to relentlessly pursue the suspects in these homicides, even out of state. To date, so far, we have cleared 32 of those. Considering that most of these investigations take a protracted time period to bring to close, that means we're on track to solve about 70% of our homicides this year, which is an exceptional rate. But again, we need to stop it before they become homicides. We need to stop the people with the guns.
All right, questions?
So sorry if you mentioned, but can you tell us more what led up to the shooting tonight? Was it targeted? Was it drive-by?
Yeah, so what we have right now preliminarily is that it was at least two groups. Whether how many people in those groups is still to be determined. We're still working through that. But at least two different sides that were shooting at each other from some distance away. So
3-year-old caught in the crossfire.
That's what it appears like at this time. So again, that's very preliminary, but that's the appearance at this point, yes.
So they were his parents driving by?
So I don't know specifically who was with the child. I believe they were out. They were not in a vehicle. They were out on the sidewalk somewhere along here when the child was struck, and that they then put him in a car to take him to the hospital.
So you mentioned something about him being shot in the car seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, either one of us could be not right on this.
Okay.
I had information he was in a car seat in the car.
Very preliminary information at this point. But somewhere out here, in between, so one set of shooters was here at the Valero, the other was down towards the auto zone, exchanging gunfire, and somewhere in the middle of that gunfire, there was a child, a 3-year-old child. I have a 3-year-old myself at home that was struck by gunfire tonight, which is, I'm struggling to put words to it at this point.
How big were these groups? How many people are we talking?
So that's what we're still trying to figure out. So when I say group, I'm going to say at least one on each side, right? Because we have evidence of shots fired at the Valero. We have evidence of shots fired down near the auto zone. How many people were within that groups? How many of those shooters? That's still preliminary, and that's what we're still trying to figure out, and that's part of the investigation that I'm not going to get into now.
So you said 12-hour shifts starting tomorrow to patrol this area. Can you talk more about what that will look like and what additional work you'll be able to do that you haven't been?
Well, we're going to have a constant presence in this area. There's going to be multiple officers here at all times, much as there was after, this summer we also endured the unfortunate murder of Officer Mazurkowitz. Just this weekend we had the murder of retired Officer Booker. But after Officer Mazurkowitz, with our partners helping us handle calls for service, I put the entire Rochester Police Department in Clinton section that weekend for a high visibility patrol. That's exactly what it's going to look like now.
Thank you.
Mayor, we were just speaking the other day of another violent act that happened in Rochester. What do you say to the community members who say that more needs to be done aside from just stepped up police presence?
I think that more needs to be done in terms of making sure that people take personal responsibility for them carrying firearms. There is not a government program that is going to stop an individual who thinks that they can shoot their mother, which is a case that we had. Someone shot their mother in the face. Or pull up to a house on the west side of the city and have an argument with their sister and shoot their sister. We don't have programs for that. We have some deep-seated challenges in our community as it relates to anger, mental health, and illegal firearms that are mixing, that are a toxic mix that are causing havoc in our community. And that is where you need to stepped up piece of all the community to help solve that, right? Police officer can't be inside somebody's house when they're having an argument with somebody in the kitchen. And they feel as though their girl was disrespected, so they put 3 bullets in the guy. These are all real cases, real life things that have happened. Also, I don't have a magic wand. We have this state of emergency. That is one tool. A state of emergency doesn't happen and then all of a sudden it all goes away. We need people to make sure that they are saying to people that they're not going to hang with people who are carrying illegal guns, and if they're carrying illegal guns, they're going to turn them in. Period. Because that 3-year-old child could be any other 3-year-old child. I spend time at the International Plaza. I go to the restaurant down the street here. I'm in this neighborhood regularly, grabbing food, hanging at the plaza, getting something on the weekend. This could happen to anybody, and people need to realize that it's someone else's 3-year-old child, but it could be any other's 3-year-old child. And so it takes the collaboration. That's what we need to be able to do. We're going to do our part. I can spend money on police. We can coordinate with our partners. But all of that is not going to change hearts and minds of individuals who have such anger in their heart that they think that it's okay to shoot in broad daylight with police officers on patrol the streets over. At some point, we have to start saying, when are people going to be held accountable for those types of things? We can continue to take illegal guns off the street. 602 we've taken off the street. But it has to be a collaborative effort. And it's not going to fall on one man or one woman to solve this problem. It's going to take the collective community to be able to do that. And there's not one person that has the answers. We have to do it collectively. We got a lot of armchair quarterbacks. It's part of the job is being mayor. Everybody has different advice that they want to give you or things that we should do. But there are people that are here on the front line, community members that are working. And I think that those people we need to continue to work with because they have been great. Our interrupters, our credible messengers, those folks working with the Rochester Police Department, supporting them as they try to end this. But they can't do this by themselves. The mayor can't do it by themselves. The collective community has to say enough is enough. I thought after a 10-year-old was shot braiding her grandmother's hair that would have been enough. But now I'm hoping that this is another wake-up call. A 3-year-old who's probably still learning how to talk. I hope that will be enough. And then the last thing I'll say is, what's the crazy part of this is that disproportionately, these shootings are all, they're not widespread. They're all falling to the poorest of the poor neighborhoods that we have in the city. The neighborhood where we're standing right now is in the top 5 of poorest zip codes in New York State. And they are bearing the vast majority of the crime. Hence why we have to give supports and everything we can to this neighborhood. And that's important because the people here deserve better. They do not deserve to live under siege or in fear. And that's what we're fighting against. But collectively, we can solve this by working as a community.
Mayor, what
Carla,
would
real
you
quick,
say to the community about their safety, here in this community? What would you tell them, after something like this?
I think in this community we have to make sure that we are vigilant and we have to be proactive in terms of making sure that we as a community stop this before it happens. Because someone knew that someone was carrying an illegal gun. Someone's at home still living with their mom, and these are real examples, living with their mom and their mothers knows that they have an illegal gun. Or they're hanging with their friend, they know that they have an illegal gun. They know that they have a beef with someone that's gonna be able to do that. And how can we get in to interrupt? That's the intervention part. How can we get in to intervene before they do that?
I've said time and time again, parents, know where your children are, know what your children are doing, check your children's social media. A lot of these cats are on social media with a gun. Nobody's looking but us.
There's
Can't get them all.
You'd be surprised how many young people that we have seen holding a gun on social media, Facebook. So I mean, it's a community approach, and we'll continue to fight to get these illegal guns off the street. But it's going to take a community effort to solve this. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'm just going to clarify real quick. The child at the time was in the car. The car was parked in front of the corner store. So
In a car seat.
In a car seat. So the
This
child.
corner store Clinton Grocery right there?
Correct. So the child was in the car at the time. I believe somebody in the car was going to get something out of the store, or whatever reason was parked at the time, and the child was sitting in his car seat at the time when he was shot.
And the 2 groups were across the street,
Correct.
across
One was in
Clinton.
the area of the Bolero. You can see the evidence markers in the parking lot.
Yep.
Pretty obvious from here. And then the other group was down towards the auto zone, down the street.
Thank you.
And by group, I mean at least one. Again, I'm not going to specifically